Hey, here we are with Kicking It with Wolverine, where I say what I mean what I say, and I say what needs to be said. Okay, normally we don't do a Kicking It with Wolverine on Thursdays, but today we're doing one because I've been getting a lot of text messages, emails, and calls about saying something about Gorge Flody that was murdered in Minneapolis, and I did say murdered. Look, first of all, I want to say, I'm a huge advocate for Blue Lives Matter and for law enforcement in general. You can't judge all law enforcement by the actions of a few. Here's what's going on here. Minneapolis Police Department obviously has no training whatsoever. I mean, those guys are ridiculous. For one, even if this guy was being combative, as they say, that's okay. People that start to get arrested, they don't want to be arrested. He may have been combative. But you had 4 cops there. You have the guy belly down. He's already in handcuffs. Okay, if he's not wanting to get into the car, you hobble him. All law enforcement agencies carry what's called a hobble. They wrap it around the ankles, pull it up to the handcuffs, wrap it through the handcuffs. Then they can pick the person up and put them in their police car. I've used this very technique. I'm not saying that North Carolina and South Carolina have some of the best law enforcement training in the world, but what I'm saying is those areas, and I was trained in North Carolina, we were taught at the very beginning, and this was back in the 90s, that you never compress someone's neck with the knee. Now, also by holding them down with the knee, also by being a martial arts instructor, teaching jiu-jitsu and being involved with things like that in the martial arts training my entire life, I can tell you, compressing the neck and that's going to lead to someone suffocating or dying. I even, in front of my business, took a guy down, handcuffed him, and then 5 city officers tried to get him in the car. They could not. They all 5 dived on him with their knees, and he was screaming the exact same way that guy was. He was hollering for his mother. He was screaming he couldn't breathe. I turned around, started pushing the cops back. I said, I'll get him. I locked him in a wrist and arm lock, picked him straight up, put him in the police car, no problem. The problem is training, ladies and gentlemen. Training and education. These cops have no training, and they're scared. They don't know what to do. They're scared. They don't have the training to deal with this guy. They're scared. They're intimidated. So what do they need to do? They need to get some training. And what needs to happen? These officers need to go to jail for murder because they murdered that dude. There needs to be justice. Now, with that being said, and the fact that they did not apprehend or take him in right because they should never have sat on him with their knees for that long, because people panic and they want to breathe, and when panic sets in, they start getting shortness of breath, then they pass out, and then when you're sitting there and they're passed out and you keep their lungs compressed, they cannot get any air back in, therefore they suffocate and die. So these morons killed this man. They should have hobbled him, put him in the car. If you can't control a man by yourself, or at least with another officer, and that guy's in handcuffs, then you need to find another job. These guys, these 4 officers, need to find themselves a job stamping out license plates in prison because they need to be in prison. They murdered that guy. That's the bottom line. They murdered him. It's idiots. On the flip side of that, let me just say, I understand that the people of Minneapolis are very, very, very upset. But rioting, looting, tearing up people's property, things of that nature, it does not get your point across, and it does not help you. It makes problems worse. You want to help get something set up for Gorge Flody, then you need to be setting up foundations for funding so you can take these law enforcement officers to court. You need to be getting in front of the news and speaking with a clear mind so you're not just looking like a bunch of maniacs. Tearing up the property, looting, and tearing stuff up is not going to help. I understand. Look, I get enraged on stuff too, and I want to go beat stuff down. Just like in the movie The Coward, Mark Stone you know, he gets enraged. He goes beats up stuff in the barn so he don't beat anybody else down. So listen, you guys and girls in Minneapolis, you have to come together, figure out a way to protest peacefully and get something done. Don't let your overreacting lead to letting these guys get off, because you're taking the attention away from what happened to him with all this crazy looting, rioting, tearing up people's property that had nothing to do with it. Look, that's just taken away from it. Honor his memory. Get them the proper justice. Look, I know that he was breaking the law. Did he need to be arrested for breaking the law? Yes. Did he deserve to be murdered for that? No, he did not. And they murdered him. So something has to be done. But at the same time, you cannot go about it acting like a bunch of mindless people. And look, the Wolverine's going to call you mindless because that's what you're doing, because you're not thinking. You're not thinking. You're just acting. And when you do that and it gets like-minded, it just makes people look bad. And then you're going to have people say, well, see, that's why they were so scared. No, you cannot do that. I'm begging you, stop doing that. Get organized. Protest peacefully and make sure something happens and that these cops are held accountable, and do not judge the actions of these 4 morons on all cops that you see, because the majority of the police officers out there are great and they're going to do the right thing by the people. So please don't judge the police officers on that, but please calm down, stop the looting, stop the rioting, get in touch with people that can get you organized, get that thing organized, and make sure that you do and take the proper steps to see that these 4 cops are charged with murder. Petitions, going letters, you got to get it all together. Start funds, fundraising groups, GoFundMes. I'm telling you, the world will be behind you because they watched these cops murder that guy. But just don't lose sight of it and let that drive you into doing things that's going to keep you from getting your point across. That's the rant from the Wolverine, weighing in on that. To the rest of the law enforcement community out there that may or may not be watching this or may hear word of it, listen, please do yourself a favor. I know people look at a lot of martial arts schools and a lot of martial arts schools give martial arts a bad name due to their techniques that don't work. And listen, I get eat up with it. I get all these videos. It drives me insane. But please get in some good training somewhere so you learn these techniques that compressing people's necks, keeping your weight on them, your knees, and forearm. It keeps people from being able to breathe in. Educate yourself. Get the proper training and the education, and get some training so that you learn some locks and restraint holds that actually work, and you can put these people in the car without injuring them and without murdering them. Especially, you've got all kinds of tools like hobbles and all kinds of things that they could have used at their disposal to get him in the car rather than sitting there on him until he's suffocated. So listen, people, watch yourself, wear your corona mask. Well, not your corona mask. I'm just saying, they want you to wear your corona mask, but be careful of that. I did type the word. It's hydrochlora something right. I don't know, but it's a big long word. Anyway, I typed that under the letters in the last Kicking It With the Wolverine so you can see that. So look at that. That's some things you can use. And just know something's going on, and creating all this havoc just distracts and takes attention away. So people, stay focused, stay diligent. Until the next time, God bless America. Kicking It With the Wolverine. Oos.